Hey, what's up guys? Nevin here. In this video I'm going to show you how to real quickly and briefly create a pricing calculator for epoxy flooring. Um, this should be fairly quick and easy, and I want to show you how you can put it on your website so that it kind of flows and integrates with the rest of your site and doesn't stand out or anything. So I have an existing site here. This should be pretty quick and easy, and what I'm going to do is just replace this existing form that you see right here. This is like a standard form you would see on any other website, and we're going to replace that with an auto bidder. So what I'm going to do real quickly here is copy it and paste it. And if you guys are curious on the site editor that I'm using, this is the built-in auto site editor inside of AutoBidder. So if you come into website here, I'm using a separate account here, but the same principle applies. The template I'm working with is called Timber Epoxy Flooring. So if you want to use the same one, that's the one that it is. What I'm going to do is I just copied this section. Now I'm going to go ahead and paste it. So now you'll see I have two of them. And then what I'm going to do is just hide this one on all. I'm actually going to hide it on mobile, desktop, or tablet and desktop. All right, cool. Now I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And now we're left with the empty section. And now we're just going to leave this for a second, head over to AutoBidder. All right, so we're going to start with calibrate. I'm going to go ahead and add a service, and we're just simply going to call this epoxy flooring. Now, I might actually break this up further and make this a little bit deeper in future videos, but you could break this up to say garage flooring, basement flooring, around a pool, a driveway, whatever other services you do. Because most likely if you're running a business, you probably offer other services like that. You may or may not, but if you do, then you'd obviously want to have separate services for those. But with that being said, let's go ahead and select that. Now, the first question I'm going to ask, I'll keep this really simple in the first part here. I'm just going to say surface location. Okay, so and this, of course, going to be epoxy. This is going to be a required question, and we're going to say garage, basement. Let's see here. What else would you want to say here? We could say indoor, indoor room, or let's say outdoor space. Oops. Outdoor space. All right, cool. All right, so I'm just going to fill these all in with one just to get us started, and then I'm going to come back here and edit this a little bit later. And then the next thing we're going to go is base number. This is the easiest way to do it. Just ask for a base number. But if you want to get fancy, you can use the slider and stuff like that. But just to keep, I personally prefer to keep it simple. And I'll say surface area, square feet. Oops, typo again. All right, epoxy flooring required. Cool. So we got surface location. And then let's also say surface type. All right, again, epoxy flooring. Oops. Concrete. I think honestly I would only do concrete. There are other people that epoxy over other materials. You know what? I'm actually just going to leave this at just concrete. I'm not going to add any additional service types. I'm just going to leave it as, but I will say surface condition. I will say surface condition. I'm just going to go drop down. I consider doing an image right there because I could get images of, pristine concrete, slightly cracked concrete, and then very bad concrete. But yeah, I'll just keep it like this. So we'll say surface type, or I'll actually change this to surface condition. And then we'll say great, fair, bad. All right. This would be 1. This would be probably like 1.12. This would be probably like 1.55 or something like that. All right, cool. So surface location, surface area square foot, surface condition. Now, the surface area condition, or the surface location, is generally where you may want to set your square foot. So let's say for garage, let's set the price. This is just a start. I'll say 5.5. So you can kind of think of that as $5.50 per square foot, but it's it's not, that's not the end all be all, because you also have the other calculations, right? The surface condition, right? So if it's cracked, it wouldn't really be 55 cents per square foot. It'd be closer to something like maybe 65 or so, somewhere in that ballpark per square foot. If they were to select, fair or bad condition for the concrete. So basement, maybe you start that at a 6. Maybe if it's an indoor room, and if it's an indoor room, it could be something other than concrete surface. So there may be additional, prep required and everything. So let's go ahead and say indoor room. Maybe start at a 7, right? Of course, you could do whatever you want. Now, outdoor space, probably use different type of material. I mean, this is all dependent on you. I'll start it at 4.5, but of course you could do whatever you do for your business, right? Now, here's where you can get a little bit more advanced or complex with it. You can start asking questions like, here, I'll add an image selection and I'll say epoxy type, or yeah, I'll say epoxy type. Now you could, if you offer different specific type of polymers, or if there's anything specific, unique about your epoxy process, then you can add that here. If you offer 3 or 4 different types and there's benefits to each type, here's where I would also recommend, or at least consider, adding a video, and I'll get to that in just a minute. This would want to be a single choice only. All right, now let's start off with flaked epoxy, because it's very common. Flaked, we'll say solid color, and then we'll say metallic, if I can spell it correctly. All right, and now let's, again, I'm just going to put those all in at 1, and we're going to go ahead and add that. And I'm going to hop over to Midjourney just real quick, and I've already got this pulled up. Oh, that's another thing I actually forgot to mention. You could ask for, is it residential, is it industrial? And you may want to set that at the service level or at the question level, and then break it up. If you only do epoxy flooring, then it might be worth breaking it up at the service level, because that gives you a little bit more control and a little bit more flexibility, rather, over the calculation. So let's start there, and then I'll say flaked epoxy. All right, let's see if we got anything good here. Cool. This is kind of what I'm looking for flaked. That's pretty good. And then metallic. Or I guess I could have said marbling, because some people consider it that. That's not really epoxy. Yeah, something like this. It's probably not a great example, actually. But for this demo purposes, that'll serve its purpose. No. All right. And then maybe if you do like fancy designs and stuff like that, then of course, I don't want to necessarily say this is how you have to do it. I'm trying to give you examples. Oops, selected the wrong. I'm trying to give you examples so that you can, you'll probably have ideas of your own that you'll want to use. Okay, we got a solid color right here. Metallic. Cool. For flakes, I'll say 1.1. Solid color, maybe I'll keep that 1. And metallic, I'll say 1.23. Cool. All right. Now I'll publish that, and I'll go to settings and CD embed code. I'm actually going to, we're getting rid of these 2 right here fairly soon, because this is the old version. This is the new version. But let's go ahead and go back to our site editor, which we started this video out with. We're going to grab HTML, highlight all that, and then paste. Cool. Page is going to reload. Now we're going to scroll back down. All right, now we sort of have to format it. Right. Cool. All right, I'm probably going to start that off about right there. We'll have to play around with this a little bit, so that's why I wanted to get this started right now. The very first thing I want to do is keep the color scheme the same. Let me just open up this theme here, and let's see. Try trying to find the colors here. We'll go ahead and grab this hex code. This is basically the color code of the buttons on the site. And what I'm doing is just making AutoBidder have the same color scheme as the site. All right, so for the border color, I'll make that the same. The start color, I'll paste that in, but then I'll lighten it up. And then once it's selected, I'll make it the full color. And let's just play around with the design just a little bit. You can choose different drop shadows. So I'll pick this one I kind of like, solid. I'll go ahead and pick that. All right, and then I like to do the same thing for multiple choice too. So I'll paste this in. Do something like that. Paste that right there. All right, cool. Now we can head back. And now you see those edits that we made adjusted the design. Now another thing I like to do to keep it all kind of the same is choose the font. This is Lotto. I think because of the formatting here, let me go ahead and change that. We'll go with font style. I'm just gonna see if I can hopefully pick a good one. Pick this one, that's fine. And we'll go ahead and refresh that. Whenever you change the font, you have to refresh the page in order for it to show. So we'll go ahead and refresh the page and head back over, see how that looks. Give it a second to populate. All right, cool. All right, it's not too bad. A little bit better than what it was. Okay, cool. So now when we select it, you can see this is what it's looking like so far. We're going to enter our surface area. Say it's in fair condition, flaked. And in fact, let's go ahead and, I forgot to turn on the lead collector. So here, let me go ahead and turn that on real quick and retry that. So this is what it's basically going to look like when a customer is viewing it, right? All right, cool. Go back to the editor real quick. Cool. So we'll select epoxy flooring, surface location, basement. Let's select garage because that's more realistic. Let's say 750 surface area. The condition, let's say it's fair, and then let's say we want flaked epoxy. All right. Now my name is Bobby Hill.com. Trying to address here. Cool. All right. So we'll see here our price is $5,082. All right, cool. Not too bad. Now you'll see this pricing card kind of looks bland, so that's another thing you can edit too. So let's go ahead and head over to design, price card design. Cool. The background, actually here, let's make the border the same color so that it kind of fits the overall theme. And that's one thing was really important to me with AutoBidder, is making it customizable in terms of design, so that it doesn't stand out on your website and look like kind of a sore thumb. It looks more like it's part of your website. It's built. It may not seem like it matters, but in my opinion, it matters quite a bit. Now, kind of keep this the same theme. And also, while we're at it, let's go ahead and do the same thing to the button. Let's make the button color that same theme. Drop shadow, solid, cool. All right, and let's change that background color too. Maybe something along the same, but dial it back a little bit. Kind of like that, because you can see the blurred effect. It's not too shabby. The problem is if you're going to extend it out like this, and this pricing card needs to look better on my end, so I'm going to work on this and try to give you more control over that. Let's go ahead and go to pricing, epoxy flooring. Let's go ahead and add a benefits. Let's say longer lasting. durable, custom colors, weatherproof. And you can say what I'm just trying to just come up with stuff just to give you a visual, right? Okay, you can see what that looks like. Now, I would honestly make that background color. I would break that something like this. Yeah, maybe that should be more of a white, honestly, so that the font stands out a little bit better. Cool. All right. Now, oops. Okay, cool. We're gonna have to refresh it. Now, another thing here is the question cards. So right now they're currently empty, but we're gonna go ahead and set this to. Let's go with white. I kind of like that transparent look, but I'm going to go with white just so you can see them a little bit better, right? So now you see how each question sort of has its own grouping, right? Let's go ahead and try this again. Another thing while we're at it, I want to show you how to change the input. So you can also change the way these inputs look the same way you change everything else. So we'll go ahead and select input style. And just to keep everything the same theme, let's choose that brown color. And I'll make this a little bit more transparent. I think the font being black is okay. That's good with me. Let's go with, just to change things up, just so that you get kind of see. Let's change that, right? Okay, I actually am not a huge fan of the super rounded corners. So let's try making that more of like a 5 border radius. And then just for fun, let's give it a shadow. Maybe I'll change it up, right? Try something a little different from what we've been doing. If we wanted to choose solid and keep it the same look as the button, then we could go ahead and just so you see what that would look like. You see how it adds that kind of that dark, solid, no transparency whatsoever. Kind of cool. It's kind of popular with like modern UIs, so I actually kind of like it on certain designs. For this though, I actually sort of like that solid. If I can find it. Actually, any one of them will look good, but cool. All right, and now let's go ahead and put your name, email. Just filling out random stuff here. Cool, $6,000. Right. So you might be looking at that and say, okay, that's insanely too expensive, or maybe that's insanely not expensive enough. That's where you just play around with the numbers. So you come into the calibrate page, and you want to head over to pricing, and then you basically just play around with it. Just try to think through. The way I like to do is think through your most common services, the most common popular job types, and just sort of start there, and then say, okay, in this example right here, garage is probably your most common job, but then every now and again someone might want you to do something in their basement. So because of the extra steps you have to go through and everything, it's going to cost more. So that's where you just think about, this kind of forces you to think about, okay, how much exactly? And that's where you could set, I said, this is only 50 cents extra per square foot, but you could make it whatever you want, right? I could make it, and I have literally an hour-long video on my channel going deeper in depth on this, and I plan on making kind of a series of videos rather than one really long video. And I hope I covered enough to kind of show you briefly and quickly sort of how to do this, right? Whatever this price output is here, that's where you just play around with it and tweak it and get something that works for you. Now another thing, I might as well do this while I'm here. Again, I don't want to make this too long a video, but if you wanted to, you could turn on booking, and it's going to show accept and book button. And then so if a customer's like, yeah, that price is fair, let's see if we can book, it's going to take them to the booking page. And then again, the booking page works just like everything else. You basically head over to design, go to date picker, and then basically, maybe we'll stick with that transparent look, make the date color. There's kind of a lot here. You could, kind of spent a lot of time on this. I don't know if I want to take too much of your time, but if you're watching this video, at this point, I'll just tell you this. I've covered the important stuff. At this point, I'm just kind of showing you little tips and stuff. Nothing really important is probably going to be covered from this point on in the video. So if you want to, skip the rest, that's fine. I pretty much covered the important part, right, of how to create the formula and put it on your website, and some of the basics with design. With that being said, actually, let's go ahead and make this transparent too, something like that. And then once it's picked, basically we'll make it solid color. And then the date font color, I don't like to go solid black, but a little like off black, kind of grayish color is a little bit better on your eyes. It doesn't look as harsh. The picked font, can keep that the same. Or actually, you know what, we'll make that white because that'll stand out better on that brown color. Border radius, just for fun, let's just show you what it would look like as 30s. Let's say, this is for the background actually. Here, let's make that 20. Yeah, 20 is fine to start. Background border width, 2 is fine to start. Day border width, let's go with 1. Oh, actually, this is where I wanted to set the roundness. Border width, we'll go with 2. And spacing. Oh, okay, cool. There we go. Alright, so you see what we're left with here? So it basically kind of fits in with the rest of the styling of our website, right? It doesn't look like kind of stands out or anything. And yeah, so I think that's March. So one thing I didn't cover in this video, in order to actually allow people to schedule dates, you actually have to go into your calendar page. And I have other videos on this. So again, I don't want to make this about this necessarily, but basically you have to set, let's go ahead and set hours. Let's say Monday, Tuesday, 2-hour intervals, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. All right, cool. So now you see it. We have these dates available, so I can pick that. I can schedule 9 o'clock or 11 o'clock, Monday and Tuesday. And that's basically what it looks like when it's picked, right? So it just gives a user a visual, like tells them, okay, cool, so they have it selected. Same thing with the time, and then they book it, and then boom, it takes them to the booking page. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's how to add, auto bidder, epoxy flooring price calculator to your website fairly quickly. This video took 22 minutes, but if you watch it on 2x speed, only takes 10 minutes. And then, of course, half this video wasn't really covering anything important, so roughly 10 minutes to do it. So appreciate you guys taking the time. If you watched it this far, have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.